Hey, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we'll be discussing whether or not you should upgrade to the new iPhone 12 models, which were announced today on October 13th, just a few hours ago. And we'll be basing this on which device you already have. Now, of course, I can't cover all the iPhones ever released, so I'll be covering all the iPhones which support iOS 14 as of now. So that is starting from the iPhone 6s and the iPhone SE first generation, right up to the iPhone 11. And I'll be telling you on a likely basis whether you should or whether you should not upgrade. However, this is just my personal opinion, and most of the final decisions will be up to you. And this is basically just what I feel, whether you should or should not upgrade. But before we jump right in, don't forget to hit that like button and check out my channel. And if you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also hit that bell notification button to get notified whenever I upload a new video. I'm on Discord, Instagram, and Twitter, and you can find me on those using the links down in the description below. Alright, let's jump right in. So firstly, I'd want to point out that you don't have to watch the full video, as I've included timestamps to each device that I cover in the comments and down in the description below, so you could jump to the timestamp for your device that you currently have. Now firstly, we're going to talk about the iPhone 6s and iPhone SE first generation. The reason I'm including them together is that they're really similar. The only difference between the two is the design, the front camera, obviously the display size, and the battery life. But apart from that, the phones are basically the same. So the 6s was released in 2015 and the SE first generation was released in 2016. And both devices are now 5 and 4 years old. They both are the furthest oldest iPhones to support iOS 14. And I personally feel like, from a personal perspective, that you should really upgrade to the iPhone 12, whichever model you choose, even the mini, because even going for the lowest model, that is the mini, you're still gonna get quite a brand new experience because the phones are completely different. The only thing is, if you own an iPhone SE first generation, the iPhone 12's design is going to be familiar to you because it's also the boxy design, coming back all those years back from the iPhone 4. So the design is going to be familiar to you, but the phones are completely different. The displays are probably outdated now, just old LCD panels. It's probably high time to upgrade to an OLED panel. The batteries are probably weak at this time. iOS 14 is said to have sped up the two slightly. However, you're not going to get the full experience from iOS 14. The cameras, I've been told by iPhone 6s and SE1 users, the camera feels quite dated now when compared to more modern phones. There are actually some budget Android devices that actually have better cameras than those two. And overall, in general, it's just a wise idea to consider upgrading. So my personal opinion is, if you have a 6s and a first generation SE, now's the time to upgrade to whichever model you prefer. So now let's move on to the iPhone 7. The iPhone 7 was released in late 2016, an unusual release event. It's a kind of a slight different situation with the iPhone 7 and the 6s, because I personally have an iPhone 7 and I use it occasionally, and it's a way better performer than the 6s in all aspects. One thing you should note, and you may already have noted if you're an iPhone 7 owner, especially a 7 owner, not the 7 Plus, iPhone 7s overall had a slightly worse hit in terms of battery life when upgrading to iOS 14. I noticed that personally. I use my iPhone 7 as a camera, and I noticed the battery goes down slightly a bit faster. So it kind of took a big hit there in terms of battery. Another reason you may want to upgrade is also the iPhone 7's camera. It's still way better than the 6s and the SE1. However, the iPhone 7 camera also struggles in low light when compared to more modern iPhones. The low light photography on that is not great. If you've seen the newer photos that could be taken with the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 11 and so on and so forth, you'd know that the HDR capabilities of more modern phones are way better. And the iPhone 7, I've noticed the low light photography and the HDR modes are slightly a bit behind by now, mainly in low light conditions, like I mentioned, especially while videoing in low light conditions. Because I personally, as a YouTuber, I do a lot of video, and when I want to make a video in the evening without sufficient sunlight, I've noticed that the 7 struggles. I've covered the iPhone 7 in 2 videos, which you can find in the card above. The first one is the iPhone 7 on iOS 14, basically how the phone performs on iOS 14, which you can find in the card above. And of course, using the iPhone 7 in 2020, which you can find in the next card above, and these will also be linked down in the description below. You can go check them out for a more in detailed clarification about the phone running iOS 14 and using it in 2020. So the main part here is the camera in terms of the 7, and of course, like I mentioned, the battery life. But apart from that, if you do not really think you need the iPhone 12, you still can hold out on the 7. But if you're into like photography and like you're really concerned about the battery, I guess it's time to upgrade. So the likeliness of whether you should or not upgrade is completely based on whether you want to move on to a better camera, of course a better display, as in an OLED display over the iPhone 7's LCD, and the battery life of the iPhone 7. So those 3 things are something you should consider if you're an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus owner. So now let's discuss the iPhone 8. So one step above the iPhone 7, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are considered to be really solid phones even to purchase today. People are still buying them off the second-hand market or unused ones off eBay. They feature Apple's first so-called Bionic processor, the 10 nanometer A11 Bionic, which is also on the iPhone 10, which I'll cover next. So the iPhone 8, if you own one, you'd know that it performs. You wouldn't honestly notice a difference between the performance of an iPhone 8 and an iPhone 11, unless of course you start doing video editing and all that stuff on the iPhone 11. The iPhone 8 has taken actually a really good turn in terms of battery life when upgrading to iOS 14. My friend and my neighbor who owns an iPhone 8 told me the battery life has increased quite significantly after upgrading to iOS 14, and he's really pleased with the device. The cameras still hold up really well today. The low light photography, video, and everything is just perfect. There are so many reviews on YouTube of using the iPhone 8 in 2020. You can go find that on those reviews. The iPhone 8, as being a newer device from 2017, obviously does not have a degraded battery that bad like the iPhone 7 or iPhone 6s, and I'm pretty sure the battery could still hold up for at least another year and a half or 2, depending on your usage requirements. The phone also obviously has wireless charging, which is a major plus point. So you're not really missing any major new feature apart from obviously the OLED displays, the improved cameras, and obviously the LiDAR scanner and all the other technology associated with it. So as a final conclusion for the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, sure, you could upgrade, but only if you're a really power, like a power user basically, and you want the extra performance and all that stuff. But if you're a average day-to-day user, maybe edit a few videos, take a few photos here and there, you really don't have to upgrade from the iPhone 8. You're not missing that much. But that, again, that's just my personal opinion. So the next phone, like I mentioned, we're going to discuss is the iPhone X or the iPhone 10, the first iPhone with an almost borderless display, and the first phone that started basically this new notch design, which is still carried on to the iPhone 12, albeit a bit improved on the iPhone 12. The iPhone X was released around the same time as the iPhone 8. They have a very similar internal layout, the same processor, etc., etc. However, the iPhone 7 has an OLED panel. It's the first iPhone with an OLED panel. And in terms of camera, it has dual cameras, one a standard 12 megapixel shooter, and of course then the zoom telephoto lens. If you're an iPhone 12 user, this is where things get a bit tricky. The iPhone 12 is more than capable of being used in 2020, and I'm pretty sure this thing will drag on till around 2023-ish. If you're willing to wait that long. The design is excellent. It's got this beautiful stainless steel design. I personally used one for some time before I accidentally broke it. It's a really good phone. I can imagine using it even now and wouldn't have a problem with it. It's got IP67. The display is OLED. It's beautiful. It holds up really well today. It's got wireless charging with fast charging. It obviously supports iOS 14 with way more features than what the iPhone 8, 7 and 6S have, and it's overall a really usable phone here in 2020. The problem here is that maybe your battery is slightly degraded for the 3 years, depending if or not you are a power user. But you could technically get that replaced by Apple. I'm pretty sure Apple still replaces batteries on those phones. If not, you could get it done by third party. But the iPhone X is still what I'm personally saying is a perfectly usable phone for at least another 3 years. And unless, of course, you want the new boxy design and the improved cameras, the wide angle plus the telephoto and the standard lens with all that Dolby recording technology, etc. Unless you want those and that new Magsafe feature and all that stuff, well, unless you want those, I don't really think you should upgrade to the iPhone 12 if you're an iPhone 10 user, but then again, that's my personal opinion. Alright, so now let's discuss the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max. Now, the iPhone XS and XS Max are basically phones that are, in terms of specifications, apart from the LiDAR sensor and the Dolby recording software, basically they're a very similar phone to the iPhone 12. It's just they have the old rounded design and just a tone down in terms of features. The cameras are excellent today. The battery life is probably still great because it's just 2 years old, released in 2018. It has wireless charging, fast charging. It has a beautiful design, rounded design with the glass and front backs. These things still sell well on secondhand markets, on eBay, and etc. Some people even still consider buying them new. So if you're a user of the iPhone XS and iPhone XS Max, it completely boils down to the fact that you just want the new design and that slight upgrade in features and obviously the better camera with Dolby technology, etc. But if you're a basic user, there's nothing much really to talk about it here. It's kind of obvious. You really should not consider upgrading. Only if you're a power user and you just really want the new features and you're not under a budget or you're not restricted by money or whatever, then yeah, you can upgrade. Okay, so next let's discuss the iPhone XR, which also released in 2018 alongside the XS and XS Max. The iPhone XR again has like one camera. It does not have a telephoto. It does not have a wide angle. So in terms of camera, if you're considering upgrading, you definitely should upgrade because if you're a person who takes a lot of photos, you want that wide angle shot, you want to zoom in, you want to take overall better photos than what you are taking. In terms of camera, yeah, the iPhone XR is ways under the iPhone 12, and the iPhone 12's experience is pretty much going to be a brand new camera experience for anyone moving up from the XR. Sure, you bought it in 2018, the battery is probably still good, it has wireless charging, it has an LCD panel that's similar to the iPhone 11's LCD panel. It also has 15-watt fast charging, so it's not way behind in terms of a functioning phone, and I'm pretty sure it'll be supported for at least another 4 years. That'll bring it to 6 years of support. So if you're a basic user, again, like I keep repeating this, but if you're a basic user and you just like the big display, you don't really care about the cameras, and your battery is holding up, you're still good and you're satisfied with the phone, and you don't really care about the new design, the LiDAR scanner, the camera technology, etc., then of course you can still stick with your XR. It's a perfectly good phone for 2020 and for at least another 4 years. And finally, now let's discuss the iPhone 11, 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max, which is kind of a no-brainer here. The only flat out the only reason you'd want to upgrade is just that extra quirky little designs, just the LiDAR scanner and the Dolby recording thing and the new Magsafe charger thing and all that stuff. But overall, if you're an iPhone 11 user, even if you're a power user, by the way, even if you're a power user and you bought the iPhone 11 Pro or Pro Max or even the 11, you're still good for like another 5 or 6 years. You're going to get a long list of supported updates. You're going to get until, was it iOS 17, iOS 18, you're maybe even beyond iOS 18. So you're set for a really long time, maybe even iOS 20, I don't know, but you're set for a long time. Even if you're a power user, there's no reason to upgrade to the iPhone 12 unless of course you really want that extra bit of features like the LiDAR scanner, the design, and what things I mentioned earlier. Or like me, if you have an iPhone 11 and you miss the OLED display, because like I said earlier, I had an iPhone 10 and it broke. Then I moved to the iPhone 11, not the 11 Pro. I have an iPhone 11. You've probably seen it on my channel. I do miss OLED displays, so that's one of the main reasons I'm moving to the iPhone 12. And also I like the boxy design more than the rounded design. And of course, I'm really looking forward to the new camera features. So unless of course you're just like me and you just really want to buy a brand new phone, you just really want the new features, you can go ahead with the upgrade. You can turn in your old phone for cash towards your new iPhone 12. So that'll kind of cushion the price there. Personally, I'm keeping my iPhone 11 for video recording on my YouTube channel to use it as basically as a camera. But again, if you're a basic day-to-day user, you don't really care about the extra specs and the new design, etc., you do not have to upgrade from the iPhone 11 and the Pro and Pro Max. So finally, I covered all the devices from the 6S and SE first generation to the iPhone 11. I did not cover the SE second generation because obviously people who would have bought that would not want to upgrade by now. So it's a kind of a no-brainer to not mention that. I'm sorry I couldn't include older devices beyond the iPhone 6 and below. I know a lot of people that use the iPhone 6 and even the 5S, but honestly it's time to upgrade. That's kind of a no-brainer. The phones are beyond 6 years old and it's high time to upgrade. You're definitely going to be happy upgrading to the iPhone 12. It has a bunch of new features and a all-new design, and I'm really sure you'll be happy if you upgrade. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and I hope it helped you with your purchasing decision. Don't forget to hit that like button and check out my channel, and if you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.